So tonight at 9:30pm GMT over on the Omegon Plays channel and on Twitch, linked to both below because PMQs is not on this week or next week due to parliamentary recess, which we should talk about for a second. Donald Tusk said, "You get 6 more months, don't waste your time." So the first thing Parliament did was vote to go on holiday. Right. Link to the Twitch channel and game channel below. I shall be streaming some Euro Truck, should be good fun, kind of, we'll see. Anyway, today we're going to talk about incorrect sentencing. It's why I'm wearing this outfit, obviously, where a judge has actually done something quite openly sexist, has made excuses to give a lenient sentence which is incorrect on the face of it, and I think we should point at it, mock it, and abuse those who have abused their powers to give what is a very sexist and incorrect sentence. So there once was this woman called Victoria Parry. Victoria Parry is an alcoholic. Whether she wants to admit it or not is entirely down to her. Victoria Parry has been convicted 3 times for drink driving. The third one actually was dangerous in the sense that there were 3 other vehicles involved. Victoria Parry has been in a 15-year abusive relationship. We need to know this because it's a mitigating factor. Victoria Parry has been banned from driving before for 3 years, from July 2015 up to 2018. Victoria Parry, shortly after being reinstated as a driver, was then involved in her 3rd drink driving related incident, which is actually the one that we're going to talk about, because Judge Sarah Buckingham has taken it upon herself to announce that Victoria Parry is in fact an alcoholic, but also decided that because of her excessive alcohol offences, because she is a repeat offender, but because also for the last year she's been on good behaviour, that she should not go to prison for her crime. Now, committing a similar offence 3 times, under the influence of alcohol no less, is a bit excessive, and should surely then, because you kind of have abused your good graces for the first 2 offences, you should be considering serving your time in a prison cell. There are pushes currently going on to reduce the number of women going to jail for what are considered to be less serious offences. This is not just a serious offence, this is a repeat offence. And yes, there are factors of alcoholism and the 15-year abusive relationship, but as far as I am concerned, that does not legitimise you being allowed to go and commit a crime, and should not mean you are given more leeway than somebody who causes similar offences without alcohol, or without having been in an abusive relationship. And then the added one that we now have to include of having a Y chromosome. And I mention this because Judge Sarah Buckingham had said that had Victoria Parry been a male, she would have been sentenced straight down the stairs to prison because of her gender. That, to me, is the most damning statement of how equality exists within the criminal justice system. The judge openly admitted this was a shocking case. And yes, you have been through a lot, but that does not excuse you breaking the law. And I can understand turning to drink if in an abusive relationship because somehow you lacked what was needed to walk away from that relationship. I get it. However, the law is the law, and you should be looking at time of at least a year, by the way. The exact quote, by the way, and I'm going to read the whole thing from the judge, is the most damning part of all of this. If Miss Parry was a man, there was no question it would have been straight down the stairs. So even if a man had been abused, if a man had been an alcoholic, the man would be downstairs. Doesn't matter. Because this is a shocking case of dangerous driving against a background of 2 previous convictions for excess alcohol. But this offence was committed in May 2018 and has not been in trouble since. She has clearly got an alcohol problem. She is, whether she admits it or not, an alcoholic. Now, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but that happened in May of 2018. That's interesting to me because her 3-year driving ban started in July of 2015. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that means her 3-year driving ban was still in effect when she committed the dangerous driving under the influence of alcohol offence. So not only has she committed a crime, but she has done it while also in breach of an already existing penalty. How on earth she gets away with this is a mystery to me. To give full context of the crash, it happened at 6:50pm when Miss Parry overtook in the middle of the road in the face of oncoming traffic, where she then smashed into a Vauxhall Insignia and wrote off a BMW. Shocking. She's lucky to be alive, to be honest. Her Fiat, as a consequence, plunged down an embankment and she had to be removed from it to save her life. She even confessed to an off-duty police officer who went to help that she had consumed a bottle of wine and should not be driving. I would assume not just because of the booze, but also because you were banned. The prosecutor had said that when Parry was arrested, she took a breath test, and almost 2 hours later at the police station the reading was only just under 3 times the legal limit. Does anyone remember those videos, adverts that crop up with drink driving being spoken about, how you should not do it and what would happen if you did it? Maybe this woman should take part in it and just say, do it anyway if you're a woman because you're just going to get away with it. And I know that sounds a bit rude off the face of it, but that's what this does. The defendant's lawyer did in fact say there is deep and genuine regret on her part. Having a crash presents its own consequences in terms of what you've done, and to have your car burst into flames is quite terrifying. She says she thought she was going to die. Well, if that didn't kill you, your liver failure will. This has been a very salutary lesson to her. I would ask that she be spared immediate custody if at all possible. And then the sob story of her relationship and the abuse and drinking being what she turned to. Right, my patience is quite finite in this case. And as far as I'm concerned, the sentence is sexist because the judge has made it sexist. It is not correct. While I could accept, an exception could be made with the mitigating factors of the abusive relationship for the first 2 offences, with the third incident being as dangerous as it was. I am not inclined to show any mercy at all, because that third time was way too much. So as far as I'm concerned, as Judge Moist, ISO cubes, and you stay there until you're, until you're clean, I guess, and you pass some rehabilitation programs, possibly start attending some alcoholic meetings, and if you can possibly find the time while in your ISO cube, deal with your issues, because they need to be dealt with. Simply turning to something like alcohol does not deal with the problem, it simply numbs you to it. Just because I want to ramble a little, I personally, when suffering loss or going through difficult times, can understand why people would turn to alcohol, drugs, self-harm as a coping mechanism. I get it. Although you can argue the first 2 are in fact just the third. The point is, I never turned to them, because I felt the best way to cope was either to bottle it up, which is of course to many unhealthy, but I'm British, so shut the fuck up, and I know we don't deal in tautologies, fuck you quacks, or the other one is the more beneficial one, to find some kind of cathartic release. Working out is a fantastic coping mechanism, the absolute opposite of that being eating, which, if you get too far, you can just go to the other one and just work out. It is quite good for you. Being proactive and socialising, that also helps, if you have it within you to do it. Turning to drugs, alcohol, self-harm, all of that, means you are not talking about what's going through your head, what is harming you, what is hurting you, what is making things difficult for you. If it is an individual or a person and they refuse to accept they are a problem, and you are unable to walk away from them, then you're going to end up doing this. Because it's self-destructive. I don't understand why some people go back to those that hurt them in the first place. But people do it because apparently love is blind or stupid, one or the other. And I get wanting to give other people chances, but with what you have done, Miss Parry, I do not believe you deserve another chance. I believe your ban from driving should be permanent, and I hope you've learnt your lesson, but I don't think you will. That smug look on your face would indicate otherwise. Anyway, if I don't see you tonight over on the Omegon Plays channel, I hope you'll have a lovely Wednesday. Please do tell me below, by the way, what you think her sentence should be. I'm very much interested. And thank you all for listening.